Sanye Chödam Sogi Chödam Chanchu Badu Dagi Kyapsu Chi Dagi Chipso Jipe Sanamaji Drola Penchi Sangye Drupa Sho Simje Tamche Deva Tam Devi Yudam Emba Juji Dunga Dam Dunga Ki Yudam Teva Juji Dunga Bebe Dewa Tava Tam Deva Juji Ye Chada Nidam Tave Danyum Chembo Nebara Juji Simje Tamche Dewa Tam Devi Dembara Juji Dunga Tam Dunga Ki Yudam Tava Juji Dunga Bebe Dewa Tava Tam Deva Ye Chada Nidam Tave Danyum Chembo Nebara Juji Simje Dewa Tam Devi Yudam Dembara Dunga Tam Dunga Ki Yudam Tava Juji Dunga Bebe Dewa Tava Tam Deva Juji Ye Chada Nidam Tave Danyum Chembo Nebara Juji Pande Zave Agi Jiva Penya Dunshuta Agi Chembo Gode Chisante Koso Togi Moto Zato So Kandida Nidida Nidan Darasa Jini Dungo Jishin Sajini Gituba Kandasa Zara Mare Motum Dungo Jisebe to Sokuna Puji Puji does a Yaga to Juyana Soto Chado Yamonino Legi Jato to the Jamare Mosa Domani Jini Jose Radianam Domitaji Saju Saju Dozo Yadelozo Gazeto Gojira Chada Jini Gide Dalu was a Jagayana de Zedeki Kara was a Jetalo de Momo Rosane Kada Kada de Jushulo Topa Yellow Drop of the Nova Zadu so Namola Gida Ludoji to Punta Mi Canon the Puji Dagi Chisapa Tomji Gedo Dagi Chudo. So I hope you all had a good rest. So coming back to the text. So we say that things that appears to the mind is the mind itself. Yeah, so that's why we say the whole samsara is the mind. And and also some of the texts they quote this line. Yeah? They say that there is only one thing to know, and that is the mind. And because all appears are mind. Yeah? So now we can understand what that text means. Yeah? And also some sutras they say that so there's nothing to learn. So there's only one thing to learn, and that is your mind. Yeah. So then we also know now what this means. Yeah? So when you know the mind, and then you know everything. And then when you don't know the mind, and then you don't know the whole samsara. And also sometimes there are quotes that says the mind sees the cup because it appears as the cup. Yeah. So we also know this now, that the mind seeing the cup, it means the mind appears as a cup. Yeah. The mind hears sound, it means the mind the mind appears as a sound. Yeah. And also sometimes the text, they say the mind cannot see other nature. So it just sees, one's own nature. Yeah, and this also means the same thing. Right? So, for the mind to see things, the mind has to appear as that thing. Right? And that is why the mind cannot see something, which is not himself. Yeah. For now, we have the confusion, and we think, we see something else. Yeah, so we see something else which is not the mind. we see something else. But then, for the mind to see something, the mind itself has to manifest itself as that thing. Yeah, and when the mind does not manifest itself as that thing, the mind cannot see that thing. Yeah, like you said, for the mind to see the computer, the mind has to appear as computer. For the mind to see the phone, the mind has to appear as the phone. Yeah, and if the mind does not appear as the computer, then the mind cannot see that. So that's why it says the mind cannot see other nature, because the mind just sees itself. And also, some of the texts it says the mind has two properties. Yeah. So the two properties are, one is the clear nature, and then the other one is to experience. Yeah. So the clear nature means something that can absorb, and also something that can also reflect. So the mind, because the mind meets different things. For example, sometimes the mind meets the karmic imprint, and then it manifests as something else. And then sometimes the concept comes, and then it manifests as something else. And then sometimes, with the power of meditation, the mind can appear as something else. Yeah. And also, sometimes the text says, so everything is mind, and then the whole three world is mind. Yeah, so that's by now it's easy to understand. So when you see from this logic, and then we say, okay, now slowly it's quite easy to understand that the whole world is my mind. The whole world appears to me, and if something appears to me, it should be, my mind's nature. Yeah, like the dog's image. The dog's image, it appears on the lake, and the dog's image is the nature of the lake. So likewise, something that appears to my mind is the mind's. So the mind's own nature. And also sometimes the text also says samsara is me, and also nirvana is me. Yeah? Me meaning the mind. So when you know the mind, and then you have nirvana, and then when you don't know the mind, and then it's samsara. Yeah? So the mind is like the base for everything. And also, so what is the nature of the mind, when the image is not there? Yes, we say, okay, the mind, things appears to mind, right? And then, mind can manifest itself into different things. Mind can manifest into, 5 objects. Yeah, so mind can manifest into form, and mind can manifest into smell, touch, taste, sound, and also mind can manifest into fear, hope, and everything. Yeah, and if this manifestation stops, if the appearance stops, what is the nature of the mind? What is the nature, the true nature of our mind? Yes, when the image is not there. For example, when the dog's image is not there, what is the nature of the lake? Yeah, and then we say, the true nature of the mind is self-know. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard about this, self-know. So self means. Yeah, self means the clear nature again, and then tong also means emptiness. Yeah, so the true nature when the appearance is not there, when you purify all the karmic imprint, when you purify all the ignorant, and then you don't have appearances, and then comes the true nature of the mind, which is self-tong. Yeah? So self-tong means the clear nature and emptiness. Okay, and also what is the true nature of our mind? Right. So what is the original state of the mind? Yeah. And then so we have this, this list of things. What is the true nature of the mind when the appearance are not there? Yeah. So the text says the mind is like space. Yeah. And the mind is like space because it's free of the qualities. It's free of the characteristics. Yeah? So there's no quality. All the appearances are not there now. So the mind is just like space. Yeah. And also the mind is also effortless. Yeah. And also spontaneous. And we say the mind is effortless and also spontaneous because there is no concept. Yeah. So when you say effort, it means something done with a concept. Yeah. And then the nature of the mind, since there is no concept, right? So so that's why the nature of the mind is also effortless. Yeah. So for example, when you sleep also, so during sleep, so there is no concept, there is no effort. Yeah, so like that. Yeah, and also, so the mind is free of the concept. And also the mind is also non-dual, so there is no subject-object, because so there's no ignorant, yeah. Because when you think of the subject-object, it is also the concept working, yeah, and it also comes from the tendencies. So when you have the tendency, when you have the habit, then you think from subject-object, yeah. And then when this tendency is gone, yeah, by practicing, by the by the meditation, by post-meditation, the tendencies, the habits are gone, and then the mind comes back to its form, and then the mind is also non-dual. Yeah, and also the mind is also clear. Yeah, so there's no darkness, there's no ignorance. Yeah, and there's no ignorance means it knows the mind now. Yeah, it knows the nature of the mind, it knows the nature of the phenomena. So there is no darkness. And then sometimes in some texts it says the mind is clear. Yeah, we have the mind is clear, the mind is like space, the mind is peace, and the mind is joy. And joy is also the same thing. Yeah? The mind is joy because it is free of feelings. Yeah? So there is no, there is no feeling of happiness. There is no feeling of suffering, right? So the mind, when it reaches its original state, and then so we say the mind is joy, it's free of feeling. And also the mind is pure. Yeah, the mind is pure because the mind is non-stained, and there's no emotions. It's free of emotions. Yeah, so that's why the mind is called pure, and the mind is also non-stained. Yeah. Okay, and then when you reach, when you reach that state, yeah, where there's no appearances, and then sometimes people say there is no mind also. Yeah, so when there's no appearances in the mind, so when you practice and practice, and then you reach Buddhahood. And then some people say, there is no mind. Some people say there is mind. Yeah. Yes. What do you think? That's a big debate in also the Tibetan schools. Yeah. That, so once you reach the Buddhahood, the mind, is it the mind there or not? Is the mind there or not?
It could be also a concept. The mind.
I think it might depend on whom you talk to. If you talk to somebody who believes in true existence, in something concrete, you tell them there is no mind. And if you meet a nihilist, you tell him there is a mind. So to correct this clinging to one position, to one extreme.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think this. Yeah, I think some lamas also say this. Yeah, so so to remove the clinging of the people, and then sometimes you say the mind is there, and then sometimes to remove the clinging of nihilism, then you say mind is there. Sometimes sometimes to remove the view of the permanent, and then you say the mind is also not there. Yeah, but once you reach the Buddhahood, like the Buddha Shakyamuni, he has reached the Buddhahood, and so we say he's in the state of the Dharmakaya. Yeah. So he's in the state of Dharmakaya, and so we say, from my side, I think I believe in the emptiness of others. So we say Uma Shantung. Yeah. So we have these two views of emptiness. Yeah. We have the view of the Rantong, which means the view of self-emptiness, and also we have the view of the Shantung, which means the view of other emptiness. Yeah. And I think the view of the other emptiness is true, right? And so there are many texts that says the view of self-emptiness is true, and some texts says the view of the other emptiness is true. Yeah. But then I think the view of the view of the other emptiness is true. So when we say the view of the other emptiness, it means the mind is there, but it has a cause. Yeah. So the mind is still there, but it has a cause, but it is not conditioned by the negative mind. Yeah. So some things are born from the negative mind. Some things are conditioned by the negative mind. Yeah. So like the appearances are conditioned by the negative mind. Yeah. and then the mind itself is, is not conditioned by the negative mind. Okay? So when you don't have the negative mind, still you have the mind. And then the mind is also impermanent, so it keeps, coming back and dying and come back, die, come back, die. Yeah? And then that mind is still there. And so we say, so once you reach the state of Buddhahood, and that mind is the cause of the, that mind is the cause of the manifestation. Yeah? So we have this, two manifestations of the Buddha. So we have, the Sambhogakaya, and then we have the Manakaya. Yeah? And if the mind is not there, then where is the cause? Yeah? So there should be a cause for the Sambhogakaya and also the Manakaya. So we say, okay, so the mind has reached enlightenment, and then the mind is in Dhammakaya, but because of this, and then also because of the compassion, and also because of the sentient being's wish, so we have this, two manifestations. Yeah? So Sambhogakaya and then the Manakaya. And also, we talk about the qualities of the mind. So when you talk about the qualities of the mind, and we say once you reach the state of the Buddhahood, and then you have some qualities of the Buddhas. Yeah? We have this 10 powers and also 5 wisdom, yeah, the 4 fearlessness, and then so on. Yeah? And these powers are there, once you reach the state of the Buddhahood. Yeah? For example, the 10 powers. If you talk about the 10 powers, we can say, the power of knowing what is true and what is not, and then the power of knowing, the karmic link of the present, past, and also future, and also the power to know all the stages of meditation, yeah, and also the power to know the capacity of the people, and also the power to know how to perform based on the people's mind, and also the power to know how to pray. Yeah, and also the power to know where the sentient beings are born, and also what is the true path, to know the true path. Yeah. So these are the powers of the true mind, once you reach the Buddhahood. And if that mind is not there, and then the Buddha qualities are also not there. Yeah. So in that way, I think once you reach the state of the Buddhahood, there is the mind, and then that mind is not conditioned, right? So it's not conditioned by the negative mind, and it's just it's also impermanent, and it's yeah.
The explanations you give now are from the Dalai Lama, from the Paratantra Shastra?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then comes the nature of things that we see. Yeah? What is the nature of the things we see? What is the nature of the appearances? Yeah? So we say, the things that we see is all mind. Yeah? And the things we see, it's not different from the mind. It's the mind's same nature. And also the things we see is born from the karmic imprint. Some are born from ignorance. Some are born from self-clinging. Some are born from tendencies. Yeah? Some are born from yeah. And also we say that things we see is also pure. So it's pure. So it's pure because it's the mind itself. Yeah. So the mind is manifesting. So it's your mind, and then the nature of your mind is pure. So that's why the things we see is also pure. Yeah. And also we say sometimes that the things we see is also the Buddha and also the wisdom. Yeah. And also so in Mahayana, when you practice, and then you have to meditate that things as mind. Yeah. So when you practice and then you meditate everything is mind. And then when you go higher to the Kriya Yoga, and then you meditate everything as the 3 families of the Buddha. Yeah. So you see the computer, and then you meditate the computer as the 3 families of the Buddha. Yeah. And then you go more higher to the the more higher tantras, and then you meditate everything as the families of the 5 the families of the 5 Buddhas. So we have the 5 Buddhas, and then you meditate everything as the family of the 5 Buddhas, yeah, when you practice. And also when you go to the highest tantra, and then you meditate everything as the 100 deities, the dreadful and then the peaceful, the 48 and then the 42 and the 58, the dreadful and the peaceful deities. So you practice in that way. And also sometimes you can also meditate the bodies as the yidam, who is the manifestation of the Dharmakaya. So Dharmakaya is your own mind. And also you meditate sound as the mantra, the manifestation of the Dharmakaya again. And also you meditate thoughts as the display of awareness. So do you have any questions?
When you say the mind is there, when one has purified all the ways,
Meaning?
When you say the mind is there, you have a mind when you have cleared all the veils?
Yes, yeah.
Do you mean with mind the Buddha nature again?
Yes, I think it's the Buddha nature also. Yeah. Yes, yeah. And then the Buddha nature should come out. Yes. Once you realize, and then the Buddha nature is out. Yeah, and that's also the pure mind.
Das ist dann auch die klare Geist.
I mean, it's I think for some people it might be very easy. For some people it might be new, so it might be hard. Yeah. So for me also, it's not so easy. So I try to think, and then I try, So it's all in the books. I think it's once you read the book, and then this will all be there. But I'm just trying to summarize. So that it's more easy to understand, and then once you read the book, and then you know where you are, and also what the book is talking about.
But just if I take refuge, the refuge tree for instance, so basically the refuge tree is in my mind is manifesting this refuge tree, but it's not there. So basically it means that all these Buddhas and whatever we use to take refuge and practice are just tools to help us discover the true nature. But they're not there.
Yes. Yes, in the text also they say, like when you dream, so you have a dream enemies, right? And then when you want to kill the dream enemies, you have to also have a dream soldier. Yeah. So with the dream soldier, and then you try to kill the dream enemies. So likewise, so now also we have to use all these tools, and we have to use the concept. Yeah? So we have to use the concept. We have to use the relative truth to see the ultimate truth. And that's also what the Chandrakiri says. Most of the time he says, try to use the relative truth, because there's no way to find the ultimate truth if you don't rely on the relative truth. And also, once you practice, it's all till you reach the first bhumi. It's just the concept. Yeah. So some parts are also the concept. They're also concept and also path. And it's path. I remember it's saying, it's the path. Yeah. So it's the path because so when you look down, it's the path, and when you look up, it's the thing to remove. Right. So you're at the mid range. So when you look down, okay, this can be a path. And then so when you go up again, this is a thing to remove. So you go step by step.